Hi, I'm Dr. Baxter Bell for 101 Years. In this segment, we're going to talk about lowering your risk of breast cancer. So if you're worried about this, the good news is that yoga could be helpful. Modern science has demonstrated that there are 4 major risk factors for increasing your chances of getting breast cancer. And those include excessive alcohol intake, cigarette smoking, a lack of exercise, and weight gain. The good news is that yoga can be applied to all 4 of those different factors and can really make some good changes for yourself. In fact, yoga can be a great form of exercise, so it can get you more physically active. And studies have shown that yoga is a great way to change bad habits, such as cigarette smoking or alcohol consumption. So we can apply our tools for that as well. And there's even good information now that even doing restorative quiet yoga practices can help you get better control over your weight. So with all that in mind, I'd like to share with you a couple of things that you can start doing now that will help you lower your risk of developing breast cancer down the road. We'll get started now with some simple things. So I want to focus a little bit on both opening up the upper chest area and also on strengthening the upper chest area, because of course this is the area where the breast tissue is located, and so we want to keep that area very healthy, functioning good, and having good blood flow. So the first things we're going to do is some simple movements of the arms. So I'm sitting on an old army blanket. And just a quick note about props, you do not have to go out and spend a bunch of money on props. I've actually taken one of my old physician desk references that's been sitting around gathering dust, and I've wrapped it in duct tape. And I basically made a makeshift block. So you could do that at home if you wanted to make some props. Also, instead of buying a yoga strap, you can use a tie instead. Or if you don't want to go buy a blanket, use a towel around the house that's firm. I put a couple rubber bands around it, and I made a little roll for myself. So you can be creative, save some money, and have all the tools that you need. For this little sequence, you're just going to need 2 homemade blocks, or since we're at a studio, I'm going to use some regular blocks for some of the stuff that we're going to do. So sit tall. You can sit cross-legged. You can sit with your legs tucked underneath you. Let your arms rest in front of you like so. And we're going to move with the breath. So on an inhalation, you're going to take your right arm and bring it forward and up. And as you exhale, you're going to bring the right arm forward and down. Inhaling, bring the left arm forward and up. Exhale, bring the left arm forward and down. We'll repeat that a few times. Inhaling, the right arm goes up. Exhaling, the right arm comes down. Inhaling, the left arm comes up. Exhaling, the left arm comes down. So that's 2 rounds. Let's do a few more rounds like that. A round is right arm, left arm. We're on to our 3rd round now. So do 3 more in a good rhythm with your own breath. So you don't have to match my breath on the screen. Once you've got the idea of how to do this, start to move in a way that feels really good for your body. So 1 more round. Inhaling up and exhaling down. And then when you're done, just pause for a moment. Notice if there's any fatigue in your shoulders at all from those simple movements. And sometimes just shaking the arms out a little bit will feel really good. Okay? Another way to work the arms instead of just in that one direction is to reach the arms out in front of you and bend your elbows. And bring your arms together. And then as you inhale, swing the arms out to the side. And then exhale, squeeze them back together firmly. Inhale, opening the front chest. Exhale, closing it. And when we're mindful and we're moving with the breath, then we're really bringing one of the key features of yoga that separates it from other forms of physical activity, this connection of breath and mindfulness with our movement. So we'll do 3 more. So again, I like to do sets of 6. It's a technique I learned from one of my teachers in India many years ago, TKV Deskachar. And so it's a nice way to challenge your memory to figure out how many times you've done these little exercises. And then let your arms come down, and again, shake the arms out a little bit. So those are just some simple movements to get the blood flowing, the heat building up, the circulation flowing in a good way in the upper chest area. Now we're going to transition and do something that's a little bit more for strength. We're still going to be on the ground, but you'll want to take your blanket and open it up like so. So you have a little padding for your knees. And then you're going to come to hands and knees position. You want your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. Instead of sagging or rounding, you want to have a neutral spine. You're going to take your right leg back with the toes touching the floor, firm your elbows, and then just lift the back leg up a couple inches. Don't go too high, and avoid the tendency to sag in the lower back. And then firming this right arm nice and strong, take the left arm out in front of you into hunting dog position. You want to keep it as steady as you can so you're not wobbling all over the place, but nice and even. Instead of looking forward, I like to look right down at my bottom hand. After you've done about 6 to 10 breaths, bring your hand and knee down and shake out that right arm that was working so nicely for you a moment ago. Then take the left leg back, toes on the ground, make sure the hips are even and the lower back is neutral, and then keeping everything very steady, just lift the back leg up a couple of inches. Doesn't have to come very far. Firm your left elbow, and then try taking the right arm forward. Again, looking down at your bottom hand, stretch between the arm and the leg. Try to keep the breath nice and even. And then after you've done about 6 to 10 breaths, you're going to keep track of that on your own. You'll bring the hand down and the knee down and shake out the left wrist. Now to make it a little more challenging, you're going to move a little forward so you have a little more sticky mat to work with. Arms stay stable, spine is neutral. Take one leg back, and then here's the tricky part. Take the other leg back and come into plank pose. This takes a lot more upper body strength. So you might sag for a moment just to see what that feels like, and then lift up to make sure you're actually lifting. Instead of tucking the hips like this, keep the lower back gently arched and feel like the legs are very strong. And then on your next exhalation, after about 4 or 5 breaths, or maybe 6, bring the knees down, walk your hands back towards your knees, perhaps sit back on your heels if you can, and give the arms and wrists a good shake. Do some circles with the wrists. Now we're going to transition up to standing for a little bit of a flowing practice that's also really good in building strength and working on the exercise portion of this little sequence. So you'll set your blanket off to the side and come up to standing. So once you're standing, we're going to do something called the moon salute. The sun salute, which has a very masculine feel to it, is interesting, but the moon salute was actually invented by a group of women at the Kripalu Center in the east coast of the United States about 20 years ago. So it's a really lovely little practice, and I'd like to share a version of that with you right now. So standing in mountain pose, you'll inhale your arms up and overhead. Exhaling, you'll tip to your right. Inhaling, you'll come to center. Exhale, tip to your left. Inhale, come to center. Exhale the arms out to your side and step your feet about 3 feet apart and turn them slightly out. As you exhale, bend the knees and the elbows, coming into goddess position. Inhale, come back up into what's called starfish position. Do that one more time. Exhaling and inhaling. And then keeping the arms out to your side, adjust the feet so your right foot turns out, your left foot turns in, and then exhale into an easy triangle. So you don't have to go down very far for this one. And then after a breath or so in triangle, you're going to bend your front knee, turn down, and step back into a high lunge. From here, we're going to spin the back heel down and the front foot in and come into a side lunge. And then slide over to the other side, adjusting your feet as you do so. From the side lunge, walk around into a high lunge on the second side. Step the back foot forward a little bit, spin it down. Bring your hand to your hip and slide up into triangle on the second side. And then inhale, come up and out, adjusting the feet a little bit closer together. Feet turned out, exhaling into goddess one more time. Inhaling the arms out to the side. Let's repeat that one more time with the breath. And then step the feet together. Bring the arms overhead. This time we're going to tip to the left as we inhale. Exhale to center. Inhale to the other side. Exhale to center. And then bring the hands down in front of the heart. So that's the moon salute. You can also go in the opposite direction once through if you'd like as well. So you've done some good exercise, some good opening, some good strengthening. And then finally, I would recommend doing some work on the breath to lengthen the breath. This is very calming for the nervous system, and I use 2 blocks to do that. So one block is placed like this. The other block is placed like this. You'll come down and sit in front of it and lie back with your knees bent. You can adjust the block so it's underneath your head, arms out to your sides. And then take a moment to notice your natural, easy breath. And then lengthen your breath to be 2 seconds long on your inhale and 2 seconds long on your exhale. And do that again. 2 seconds in and 2 seconds out. Then try going to 3 seconds in and 3 seconds out. And you'll repeat that a few times. Finally, you can take that further and further. So if you want to go to 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, you can try going there. You want to make sure it's easy to do and that it's relaxing for your body. In fact, you can also click on the relaxing breath at this point to finish your practice. It's always a great way to finish any of the therapeutic practices that I'll be sharing with you here. Thanks so much. Namaste.